Hey gang, I'm back with more firebase stuff. We're gonna make this image gallery look a little more interesting, like you can see in this little picture here. It's gonna look like this. When we drag and drop images in, they're gonna become the textures on webGL shapes. And of course, you can extend this idea in very interesting ways, I'm sure. I'm just gonna take this simple sketch and take these images that we're already bringing in and displaying in divs in a flexbox container. We're going to instead pull them into a P5 sketch and do all the P5y fun things with them. And along the way, we'll get a chance to learn a little bit about how to handle asynchronous code, which is a very important thing on websites. Um, So to get started, what we want to do is go to, um, I've made a sketch, just a simple P5 sketch. And, I could definitely make a series of videos on the making of this, but that's going to be for another day. And that is linked right here as your standard non-Firebase WebGL image gallery. So you can just go there and download that. And hopefully you've already got your deployed Firebase site from the last time, but if you need a refresher, you can grab mine here and just enter in your own Firebase configuration stuff, and it should work pretty well. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this sketch and we're going to integrate it into this is the image gallery here, and we're going to take our webGL image gallery code, which is a P5 sketch, and we're going to integrate it into that already active deployed Firebase sketch. So hopefully you remember from last time what we did was we moved our files into a public folder and we deployed those to Firebase. And so if we go to our console, our Firebase console, this is not that right project. This is the right project. If we go here, I can see if there's been some usage, just a little bit of usage today. And if you're concerned about usage ever, you can just check out in usage and billing and see how much has been happening. You can see this project cost is currently 0. I can also come in here to project settings and look at various aspects of it just to see. Here's my project name. And if your project is not currently, depending on which plan you're currently on, you may have started out on the Spark plan. In order to do this next step, we're going to need to upgrade that to the Blaze plan because that gives us access to the Google Cloud platform. But actually, let's do that in the next video. Sorry about that. For now, what we're going to do is grab this code here and integrate it into our other sketch. So all I really need to do is make sure I keep my app, and I'm going to add also the sketch to this, sketch.js. And I'm going to also add where right now we've got our Firebase libraries. We're going to also need our P5 library. And we could also serve that from a CDN, but I'm just going to drag and drop it over from this. This is the other repo that I downloaded. So you can see there's my P5 code, and I can drag that into my public folder just like so. And I'm going to grab the image circle class, which is building each one of those spheres with the circles around them. And I'll grab my sketch as well. And if you want to, you can run this sketch locally. That's been downloaded. It should fire up and run the thing we're going to be building. And so you see where it says loading. That's actually an example of asynchronous code. Those loading times are going to get longer though when we're dealing with Firebase. And they're going to be coming in not all at once. So this will be an interesting challenge to get this sketch to work correctly once we integrate Firebase. Okay, so we're going to start with our sketch. Let's see what we've got here. We've got our index, our P5, our sketch, and our image circle. And we've also got this images folder that we're currently using preload. I'm using preload to load those into an array of images. And then I use those images to build these image circles. We're going to have to change that. We're going to get this from our Firebase. So this will be fun. All right. And in index, I need to bring in P5. And I'm just going to bring it from this local instance here, p5.js. So now I've got P5. I'll also bring in that image circle. So we'll say source equals image circle.js. And down at the bottom, we're bringing in app and we're bringing in sketch. Now, the first thing I need to do here is get rid of this function preload. We're not going to use function preload because we're not going to have our images yet. Our images could come in anytime someone drops a thing in, and we certainly are going to have to wait for Firebase. So what we're going to do is actually, and we're not going to need this in setup. What we're going to do is load those images actually inside of, and this is not being used. My bad. We're going to load those inside of image circle.update. So if you go to image circle, you can see I had some other stuff in here before because I wrote this for Firebase. And what we can do is just uncomment image path. I'm going to change this, what we're bringing in, to image path. And then I'm going to uncomment these two lines here. And so what we've got is a Boolean called this.imageLoaded, which is going to say whether the image has been loaded or not. And we're going to set the image to start with to null. So that way we can check for that null value. And then we're going to do this thing here. We're going to say this.load image buffer. That's going to be the return value of this.create image promise and passing in this.image path. So we're going to get this image path and we're going to create an image promise. And we'll just wait to do this for now. The one other thing that I want to do is I want to go to my app and I want to wait and see. I want to, instead of adding my to gallery here where we're adding those flex containers, I'm going to comment that out. And maybe I'll comment out all these console.logs too, or just get rid of them. We're not going to need those. And with this image path, we're going to do something a little bit different. So what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of just calling on, I just want to double check my code, make sure I didn't make any more mistakes here. instead of adding it to the gallery, what we're going to say is image circles dot push new image circle and we'll pass in image path. So if you remember from last time, we were getting this image path from our firebase storage, from our Firestore. And now we've got this thing called image circles, which is here. It's a constant. It's an array that we've set as a global variable in our P5 sketch. So now every time we get a new piece of data from Firestore, anytime someone drags and drops a thing in, we'll create a new image circle. And we'll pass in that path into our image circle. And then we'll use that path here when we create an image promise. And let's just go down to the update, and I'll also uncomment out this code. And so this is going to say if there's an image path, if this.image path is a thing, so if this has come in, then if image loaded is false, which it is to start with, then let's call this function and then set this.imageLoaded to true. And we're going to use this.imageLoaded right here inside of our display, so that when that value is true, it will do this stuff, and when it's not, it won't. So let's just, before we go any farther, let's just see what happens if we take that out, and we'll just look at our sketch and see what it does. And I think I might need to add in my config. Yes, I need to bring my Firebase config in, as you will need to do if you don't have it there. And otherwise, this should all work right now. So I'm making a new image circle. I'm creating a new image circle, and I'm displaying it. And we're going to come back to this thing of this promise in a minute. Don't worry. And in my sketch, we should be updating and displaying each image circle every time through the draw loop. So let's see what happens when I do this. And you can see, oh, it did come in. So I guess I didn't need that Boolean there. That's interesting. I thought I would need that Boolean there. But you can see if we don't do this image promise, then we won't get any images. And so we're working now. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this back in just because I think it's safer. Yeah, so there we go. We've got our image gallery. It's working, and we should be able to even do the drag and drop. And let's see if I drag and drop a new image in. Grab. Make this one smaller. So now it's 43 kilobytes. Drag it in, and we get the new image in there. So that was real fast, just talking about integrating this into P5. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to go over in the next video, which is like, what is this promise and why do we need it? And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. But if you're not interested, you can just skip that. It's working. There is going to be, you'll probably have one problem when you deploy this, which is we're going to need to set up cross-origin resource scripting on our Firebase console. But first promises, and then I'll be back to do that other thing as well. All right.